Look, I know I've only got 20 seconds with about half of y'all, so real quick, before this half clicks away from this video, go to the comment section, click the link, and pre-order the book, Your Next 5 Moves by Patrick Bet-David. You clicked on this video for a reason, and so that's the only advice I'm going to give you. I know I got 20 seconds. Go click the link, pre-order the book, and you'll thank me when it arrives in August. I think that's all the time I have for y'all. So now for everybody else, please stick around because we are going to do a deep dive preview into what we believe this book is going to contain and some of the things we know it's going to contain. And all that is coming up next. In case I wasn't perfectly clear, we are going to go over the book Your Next 5 Moves by Patrick Bet-David. Now the book hasn't come out yet. It comes out in August 18th, I believe. But we do have a little bit of information on the book. And for those of you that don't know anything, Patrick Bet-David, or PBD for short, is the CEO of PHP Agency. It's a life insurance company, and he is also the owner and the face of the YouTube channel Valuetainment, the #1 YouTube channel for entrepreneurs. Now, Patrick Bet-David and Valuetainment hold a special place in my heart because it was probably one of about 4 or 5 different channels that I really started watching when I really got into YouTube, and it was one of the channels that inspired me to go out and start my own channel. And just everything they were doing, all the books that he was constantly suggesting, and everything, all the content they were putting out, it's really motivating. It's really high quality. And so I'd suggest going and checking out their channel. I'll leave a link in the comment section, in the description, so you can go check that out. But the quality of what they put out, truly unmatched, and I really appreciate everything they're doing. And that's one of the reasons I am most looking forward to this book and why I wanted to share it with all of you. So the book is called Your Next 5 Moves, and no, it's not necessarily a business-related book. It is a lot on just kind of developing yourself and figuring out where you want to be in your next 5 moves, or really your next 5 big accomplishments that you want to achieve. And we'll get into that a little later. But I anticipate this book is going to be a bestseller for Amazon. And my big suggestion right now for all of you is to go and pre-order it. Valuetainment and Patrick Bet-David are giving away a few incentives to anybody that pre-orders, and I'll talk about that more later in the video, but definitely go check it out, pre-order it. To tell you as much as I can about what I think the book's going to be about, I've got 3 sources I'm going to be pulling from. The first is a video that was uploaded to the Valuetainment channel. It's called Your Next 15 Moves, and that is based on an interview PBD did with a chess grandmaster. Also, there's another video they uploaded. It is a special book launch webinar that I was lucky enough to attend, and now that is up on their YouTube channel as well. And last is again another incentive for pre-ordering. It is a free chapter that they gave away to everybody. So we're going to take from those 3 sources, and I'm going to give you a little bit of the information I know is in the book and make some predictions as well as what I think the book is going to be about. So let's hop into the first video, Your Next 15 Moves, and see how that's going to relate to this book, because I think that really had a lot of inspiration for the book, Your Next 5 Moves. What we know is that if you haven't hit that like button yet, I need you to hit the like button, and I need you to share this video with some friends that are going to get value out of it. So go ahead, do those 2 things, and then we'll jump into the book. So in the video, Your Next 15 Moves, Patrick is really talking about how you need to set up yourself to accomplish your 5 big goals in life. And it reminds me a lot, some of y'all may have heard of Warren Buffett's 25-5 rule, where you take out a piece of paper, you write down 25 goals you want to accomplish, no particular order, just 25 things, kind of like a bucket list. And then you go through that list, you rank them, starting 25 all the way up to number 1. and then you cross off the bottom 20 and you focus on those first 5, and those are your big 5 goals. Very similar to that. What PBD wants you to do is get your 5 big goals you want to achieve in life and go ahead and start planning your moves to be able to accomplish those 5 things. Now, PBD's is a little bit different though. He wants you to go through your list and eliminate anything you could live without. Only keep the things that you cannot live without. You cannot go through life without accomplishing these 5 things. Then, instead of doing the 25-5 rule that Buffett suggests, he wants you to put them in order of a logical sequence of being able to accomplish. For example, you can't win a gold medal on the Olympic team without first making the Olympic team. So think of it like you've got to be able to walk before you run, and you got to be able to crawl before you walk. So putting those goals in a logical and sequential order is one of the keys of that video, and coming up with the 15 moves to be able to make it all the way and accomplish those massive life goals along the way are really what he covers in that first video. In the video, there are 6 different points, and the first one is getting those first 5 goals. The second is figuring out who you want to model your life after. Not necessarily who do you want to replicate, but just thinking of different role models, different mentors, and what did they do? Who did they look up to? What path did they choose? What were their big accomplishments? What were their big failures, and how did they rebound from those? That's big step number 2. Number 3 is, once you've done those first 2 steps, you have your goals, you have your mentors, you need to personally just take a step back and say, is this exciting me? Am I pumped up about this? Am I fired up? Can I not do anything else but think about these goals and this plan? Or are you like, I don't know, I could give or take, I could take it or leave it, I don't know. If you're that second way and you're just like, I don't really care, then you need to go back to the starting board and start over and go back to the drawing board and get your new 5 big life goals. Where you should be is you should be so fired up that you have a plan to be able to accomplish these things that you can't sleep, you can't do anything but just hit the ground running to make sure you accomplish all these things you want to accomplish. All right, now that you're excited and you're pumped up, you got to figure out what you need, and that's people, that's skills, that's resources, that's tools, that's mindset. You've got to get all those things that you need to accomplish your goals. This is a little bit more broad because you need to be the one zeroing in. You need to be the one figuring these things out. This is just a path getting you along the way so you can figure this out. And you've got to be able to figure it out yourself. No one can figure it out for you. The 5th step in this process is you've got to figure out your vehicle to get you where you want to go. The example that PBD uses is Arnold Schwarzenegger used bodybuilding, and he was a bodybuilder for 15 years, and he used that to kind of launch himself into movies and into Hollywood, and then eventually used that vehicle to launch into politics. And so you've got to think about, what is your vehicle going to be? He also used The Rock as an example, Dwayne Johnson, who started out with football and then got into professional wrestling and then got into action movies, and he's one of the biggest stars out there right now. So what is your vehicle going to be to at least start you on your way to accomplishing all your goals? And last and certainly not least is your potential threats. And that could be competition, that could be running out of money, that could be too much success too early, that could be listening to the wrong people, getting bored with this entire process, and even marrying the wrong person and all the ramifications that could have and everything that could cause in derailing you in achieving your dreams, achieving your goals. So that's the first source, and I believe that's going to play a bigger part in this book. Truly, I believe it's going to play a really big part in the first part of this book, and we'll get into that in a second, but the video is called Your Next 15 Moves. The book is called Your Next 5 Moves, so I think it's a little more refined. I think it's obviously a book and not a 15-minute video, so it's going to dive a little bit deeper into it, but I really believe that this video is going to play a big part in the book. During the book launch video, we learned a lot more, and one of the things we learned, he threw up a little slide that had the next 5 moves to master, and I don't know if this is specifically the 5 moves that are going to kind of be covered in the book, or it's just, hey, you need to master these things. I wouldn't throw it past PBD to kind of be giving us a curveball and having these are the 5 moves you need to master, and it has nothing to do with the book, or him just giving us this information, because like I said, he's got a fantastic YouTube channel full of great content. He's always putting out great content, and it wouldn't shock me if he said, hey, here's what I'm going to be talking about in my book, but it's so good, I want to share it with all of you. So the 5 moves you need to master are: number 1, master knowing yourself. Number 2, master the ability to reason. Number 3 is master building the right team. Number 4 is master strategy to scale. And number 5 is master power plays. And once I had that information, I really believe that first video, Mastering Your Next 15 Moves, is going to play a big part with master knowing yourself, because that's kind of what it's talking about. Is you've got to know what you want to accomplish, and you've got to figure out your path to accomplish it. And there's a couple of chapters early on, we'll get into that later in this video, the master knowing yourself, that I really believe that portion, if these are the 5 kind of areas that are going to be covered in the book, that portion is going to be the biggest portion. I also really loved master power plays and how that's the conclusion, because one of my favorite videos and one that really turned me on to Valuetainment was an interview that Patrick Bet-David did with Robert Greene, who is the author of The 48 Laws of Power, and absolutely loved it. And I'm guessing you're going to see and hear a lot of that 48 Laws of Power in that 5th section. He's gone on to interview a lot of members of various mafia organizations, or I should say former members. I'm guessing you're going to hear a lot of that content in there as well. So if those 5 areas have anything to do with the next 5 moves, just be on the lookout for that information, for section 1 to be really long, for section 5 to pull from a lot of the different interviews he's done in the past, and of course his experience in business as well. Now, what can we say for certain? What can we say for sure about this book? Well, we know that there are 3 specific chapters that Patrick talks about himself. The first one is a chapter, he didn't give away the name of it, but basically it's him working in the insurance industry, writing this Jerry Maguire type letter where he sends it out to his boss and everybody in the company, just saying everything they're doing wrong and how they need to change and all these changes that he would make and what he believes would make the company more successful, yada, yada, yada. And this causes a crazy sequence of events for him. He's kind of backstabbed by a few different people, and towards the end of the book launch video, he starts laughing about this because these people ended up not listening to him, tried to kind of sabotage him and blackball him. And because of everything that happened, he ends up leaving, starting his own company, and has become more successful than he ever could have dreamed. And then he got into YouTube, launches Valuetainment, and again, it's taken him to another stratosphere. And none of that could have been accomplished without one person who was above him in some capacity, really not liking what he was saying, not liking what he was putting out there. And that kind of snowballed into all this negativity that he turned around and has been really successful because of. Another chapter that Patrick tells us about is one that's going to contain his 10 non-negotiables of business. Essentially, he's got these 10 principles that he doesn't negotiate on when it comes to his business dealings, his personal dealings, because anytime he has negotiated on them and he's given in and he said, I'll compromise on this one in this situation, every time he's ended up losing money. They've been massive failures, and he just can look back and look at himself in the mirror and say, why did you compromise? You've got these principles in place. So now he doesn't compromise on those. And while I don't believe he's going to push everybody to have those same principles, I think he's going to encourage all of us to look in the mirror and look at ourselves and say, what are my non-negotiables? What's important to me, and what would I, no matter what the deal is, not be willing to compromise. One more chapter that is gone into it a little bit of a high level is called I Love You, but please sign the prenuptial agreement. And Patrick's got a couple of videos about this on Valuetainment as well. Essentially, his thought process is, when a lot of people get married, they just hop right into it. And it's not necessarily they hop right into it, but you get married and you're supposed to be in love. It's going to last forever. But we know that 50% of marriages end in divorce. And during a divorce, while things can get heated and very emotional, at the end of the day, there's a lot of logic and strategy used in how to divvy up the assets and liabilities. So essentially what he's saying in this chapter is you need to go in the beginning with this mindset of we're hoping for the best, we're planning for the worst. Let's just talk about if 5, 10, 20 years from now things don't work out, let's go ahead and just put this all on the table, put it all on paper, and this is how we would divvy things up. And that is probably going to be one of the more controversial chapters in the whole book, but it is something he believes, and it is something he goes back to where he talks about potentially marrying the wrong person can derail your success. So it's very important to him. He does a lot of interviews. He does a lot of commentary on this topic. So that is the last chapter that he talks about in that book launch video. There are 2 more chapters that he talks about. He gives us the title, but they don't go into them in depth because he's asking people to vote what chapters they want to hear. But the first is manage your ego and learn how to build alliances. And the other is the importance of talking behind other people's backs and why he does it all the time. Both of those sound really interesting to me. The first one, manage your ego and how to build alliances, almost sounds like it could be 2 different chapters. Manage your ego being its own chapter, and then building alliance being another one. And then I'm super intrigued to understand what he's talking about with the importance of talking behind other people's backs. But finally, there is a third source, and that is the chapter that is sent to you if you pre-order this book. Again, link is down in the comment section. You need to go pre-order the book and then send an email to info@valuetainment.com. Send them an email. Let them know you pre-ordered the book. Give them a little screenshot of your receipt, and they will email you this chapter. And that chapter is called Your Path to Creating Wealth, Intrapreneur versus Entrepreneur. And when you purchase the book and they send it to you, they ask you not to share it with anybody and not to give it away, not to post it anywhere. So I don't want to talk about it too much. I will just say that a lot goes into talking about the desire for a lot of people that want to be entrepreneurs but are afraid to take that risk, are afraid to leave their steady job. And it's what an entrepreneur can be, where you've got somebody that works in a company but thinks like an entrepreneur, and they either start new departments, they start new divisions, they work on special projects, and these are the type of people that usually rise to that C-level, executive level in the company. And that's the creative thinking and that entrepreneurship thinking that a lot of companies need from certain employees if they want to go to the next level. So he talks a lot about that path versus the entrepreneur path of going out there, starting a business, and how it can't just be, I'm going to start this business because I'm going to make money, and how if it's just about making money, and this is kind of an obvious one, but if it's only about making money, you're never going to be as successful as you could be, and it's never going to be this long-lasting thing. Think back to what we talked about at the beginning of this video. On your journey, are you going to get bored of trying to accomplish these goals? Well, what are you trying to accomplish those goals for? What are you starting this business for? If it's just to make money, you're never really going to be 100% into it, and it's never really going to have that full attention. I can personally relate to this. I started a cleaning company when I was a senior in high school and ran it all through college. And it was a way I knew we could make money because me and my dad started it. I knew it was a way we could make money. I knew that what we could charge versus what we would have to pay out to employees to do the job, there would be more money there if we were doing the cleaning ourselves, if we were doing the selling ourselves. There was a lot of money that could have been made. And two things I learned from that. One, the money was not that good. And two, I wasn't focused enough on the employees, how well they were doing, on the business and everything. And it was because I wasn't passionate about it. I didn't care about cleaning office buildings. Like, there was no passion there. It was just, oh, we can make some money. This is fun. I own a business. This is so much fun. How exciting. So I think that entrepreneur versus entrepreneur chapter is really well done. But again, I don't want to give it to you because when you pre-order the book, you're going to get it 3 months in advance. So go click the link, go pre-order the book, then send an email to info@valuetainment.com, send them a receipt, and you will get the copy of this chapter in your email almost immediately. In addition to the special preview chapter, there's a couple other incentives. You can check those out if you order 3 copies or more, if you order 10 copies or more, but you can check that out over at yournext5moves.com. And to make it as easy as possible for you, if you're interested in one of those 2 videos Valuetainment has put out, you can click on those right here. And if you enjoyed this kind of preview video and you want to see any of the book summaries I've done in the past, you can click this playlist right here. And if you haven't already, subscribe by clicking right here.